Welcome to Daily Book Insight. Today, we're diving into something that gets to every single one of us, a problem that can quietly wreck our health, our happiness, and our chances at success. We are talking about worry. It's a problem that hits everyone, from emperors to everyday folks just trying to get by. But what if I told you there's a way to actually conquer it?
To really get the power of our own minds, you've got to look at these two totally different lives. First, you've got Napoleon Bonaparte. The guy had it all, right? Fame, power to command armies, more money than he could ever spend, and yet, he himself admitted he hadn't had even 6 genuinely happy days in his entire life. 6 days! Now, on the flip side, you have Helen Keller, blind, deaf, and mute, living in a world of complete silence and darkness, facing challenges most of us can't even begin to imagine. And her take on it all? She said that life was so beautiful.
So what does that tell you? It proves one core truth. It's our inner world, not what's happening around us, that really decides if we're happy. And this isn't just about feeling good, you know? The stakes for our physical health are sky high. Get this, Dr. O.F. Gober, a top physician at a big clinic, made this incredible claim. He said a whopping 70% of patients who see doctors could actually cure themselves if they just got rid of their fears and worries.
Yeah, the physical damage from worry is no joke. It's like this silent epidemic that shows up in very real, very scary ways. We're talking about chronic worry leading to things like heart disease, awful stomach ulcers, and super high blood pressure. It can even cause certain kinds of headaches and paralysis. The bottom line is, worry is a huge reason people die early. A Nobel Prize winner in medicine put it bluntly, people who do not know how to fight worry die early.
So, it's pretty clear that beating worry isn't just about feeling better. It's about living a longer, healthier life. So the big question is, how do we do it? Well, we've got a roadmap. First, we're going to learn a magic formula for tackling problems. Then, we'll see how to push worry out by taking action. After that, it's all about mastering your inner world, learning not to sweat the small stuff, and finally, putting it all together.
All right, let's start with what might be the single most powerful tool for taking apart any worry you have. It's a magic formula. And no, it's not some weird chant. It's a dead simple, logical, 3-step method that can dissolve pretty much any problem, no matter how huge it feels.
And this whole formula was actually born from a massive, high-stakes crisis. Imagine you're this engineer, Willis H. Carrier. You've just installed this massive $2 million gas cleaning system for a client, a huge deal. And then you find out it's not working right, not even close. The guarantees you made, you're not meeting them.
Carrier was just slammed with worry. He was so stressed out he couldn't sleep. But instead of just panicking, he came up with this logical process. So, step 1. He analyzed the situation and asked himself, okay, what is the absolute worst thing that can possibly happen here? For him, that meant the client rips out all his gear, his company loses $2 million, and he gets fired, his career ruined. Step 2. He mentally accepted it. He literally said to himself, okay, that's the worst case. I can handle it. I'll find another job. And then step 3, once he accepted it, he put all his energy into calmly trying to improve on that worst case scenario.
And the second he accepted the worst, something amazing happened. The panic just went away. His mind totally cleared up and he could actually think again. He ran some numbers and figured out that if his company just spent an extra $5,000 on some new equipment, the whole problem would be solved. He told his client, they said yes, and the result? A potential $2 million disaster turned into a $15,000 profit.
Now, you might think, okay, that works for a business problem, but what's really wild is that this formula works in the most extreme life-or-death situations too. Just listen to this story about a guy named Earl P. Haney. Doctors told him he had terminal stomach ulcers and to, get his affairs in order, so he used the formula. Worst case, he was going to die. Step 2, he accepted it. He figured if his time was short, he was going to live it up. He booked a trip around the world and get this, he even bought his own coffin and arranged to bring it on the ship with him. Then, step 3, he started improving on the worst case. He just lived without a care in the world. He ate whatever he wanted, he sang, he partied. When he got back home, he was 90 pounds heavier and completely cured. The ulcers were gone. He lived a long, healthy life, all because he stopped worrying.
So you see, the key is that accepting the worst frees up your brain to actually solve the problem. Now that we have that foundation, let's add some more tools to our kit, specifically strategies that are all about taking action. Because you know what? A busy mind just doesn't have room for anxiety.
the secret here is really simple. It's actually a basic law of psychology. It is impossible for any human brain, even a genius's, to focus on more than one thing at the exact same time. Think about Winston Churchill. When he was running the war effort during World War II, somebody asked him if he was worried. His answer was legendary. "I'm too busy. I have no time for worry." He was working 18-hour days, running a global war. He was so completely absorbed in what he was doing that worry couldn't even get a word in.
Okay, here's another powerful action you can take. Fight your irrational fears with cold, hard facts. It's called using the law of averages. So next time you're worrying about something, take a step back and look at the actual data. For example, if you're scared of flying, don't let your imagination run wild with disaster movies. Look at the real numbers. The chance of anything bad happening is teeny tiny. When you arm yourself with facts, you realize your worry is all emotion, not reality, and it makes it so much easier to let go.
And for all those worries you have at work, there's a super structured, action-based approach that can get rid of like 90% of the problem before you even really start. Instead of just stressing out, make yourself answer 4 questions, and it's best if you write them down. 1. What is the problem? This writing it down makes it clear. 2. What's the cause of the problem? This keeps you from just dealing with symptoms. 3. What are all the possible solutions? This forces you to think outside the box. And 4. What solution do you suggest? This forces you to make a decision. A problem that's well-defined is already halfway solved.
Taking action is huge, there's no doubt about it. But the real war, the ultimate battleground, that's all happening inside our own heads. So let's shift gears and figure out how we can win that inner war against worry.
Let's just start with a quick thought experiment. It'll show you something incredible about the wealth you already have. So let me ask you, would you sell your eyes for $1 billion? Seriously, how about your legs for another $1 billion? Your family? Your health?
The answer, of course, is no way. And that proves you already own things that you value more than all the money on earth. So the real key to happiness is to count your blessings, not your problems. Focus on the 90% of your life that's going right, not the 10% that's going wrong. A really powerful way to do this is to practice living in day-tight compartments. Picture a giant ocean liner. It's built with these watertight compartments. If one gets a hole in it, the crew can seal the doors on either side, contain the flood, and the ship doesn't sink. You need to do the same thing with your life. Every morning, shut the iron doors on yesterday's mistakes and tomorrow's fears. Just live for today.
You know, worrying about the past is as pointless as trying to saw sawdust. It's already done. There's this great story about a science teacher who taught this lesson perfectly. He brought his class into the lab, held up a bottle of milk, and then just smashed it into the sink. Then he told all the students to gather round and said, "Take a good look. That milk is gone, and all the worrying in the world won't bring a single drop of it back." The lesson is so simple but so powerful. Write it off, forget about it, and just move on.
All right, now let's talk about those little, everyday annoyances that can feel like the end of the world. Honestly, these are sometimes the worst kind of worries, the little things that just chew away at our peace of mind.
To give you some perspective, listen to this true story. Out in the Colorado Rockies, there was this massive tree that had been standing for 400 years. It had survived lightning strikes, blizzards, avalanches, you name it. But in the end, it wasn't destroyed by some great force of nature. It was brought down by an army of tiny little bugs you could crush with your finger. They just bored their way in and slowly destroyed it from the inside. And you know what? We are so often just like that tree. We get through the huge storms of life, but then we let our hearts get eaten away by trivial nonsense, the tiny insects of worry.
So how do we protect ourselves from these tiny insects? We can borrow a brilliant idea from the stock market called a stop-loss order. See, when a trader buys a stock, they can set an order to automatically sell it if it drops to a certain price. They decide ahead of time how much they're willing to lose. You need to do this with your worries. When something starts to bug you, decide right then and there how much anxiety it's worth, and then refuse to give it any more. Don't pay $50,000 of worry for a $5 problem.
Okay, so we've looked at all of these different tools and stories. What's the big takeaway here? After all of this, what's the one thing you really need to remember to live a life with less worry?
Well, when you actually look at the data, you find something that is just mind-blowing. Most of the stuff that we spend all our energy fearing, they're just ghosts. One study found that a full 85% of what we worry about never ever happens. Of the 15% that does happen, most of it turns out to be way more manageable than we thought. So that means a staggering 97% of our worries are either totally baseless or just not worth the mental and physical toll we pay for them.
Look, going from a worrier to a warrior, it's a choice. It is a conscious choice about the kinds of thoughts you allow to live in your head. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly thousands of years ago. Our life is what our thoughts make it. It's that simple. If you fill your mind with thoughts of peace and courage and health, you're going to build a life of peace, courage, and health.
If this explainer gave you a new way to think about things, help us share this timeless wisdom. Please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this with your friends and family. Anyone who wants to upgrade their life. Thanks so much for watching.